If you're watching this video, you're probably considering building a new shop or a farm building or outbuilding. You likely have a bunch of questions on your mind. We're gonna hit on 7 of those questions in this video. And if you check out our other videos, we've got lots more. The answers to these questions will allow you to start your project confidently and knowing what to expect and what to look for as you move forward. A lot of people always ask us, what's the most expensive part of a project? Like, is it the labor? Is it the materials? Is it the roof? When it comes down to it, it all adds up. There's not really one part that's more expensive, and you kind of need all the parts, or else you're just gonna have a pile of lumber if you don't have the labor. And if you just have the labor, you're gonna have a lot of guys standing here doing nothing. If a person's trying to fit within a budget, easiest way to do it is just to work with the size and any added things like doors and windows and that sort of thing. Our standard floor thickness is 6 inches. We won't actually go less than 6 inches. To have a good floor, you want to have that full 6 inches. That pink line down there is what they set the grade to. And this one's actually going to have a few inches of under slab insulation for the heated floor. And then it's going to have the 6-inch slab on top of that. So it's going to end up coming up probably somewhere right around there. Sometimes you might want a thicker floor if you're putting, say, a hoist or something in. I would check with the manufacturer and what they recommend. For a lot of them, actually, 6 inches is enough, but some recommend 8 or 12 inches underneath where the posts are going for the hoist. Or if you're planning to add a mezzanine or something later, you might need a thicker floor where that's going. Often that 6 inches is going to be sufficient for most of those needs.
Our posts are typically spaced at 8-foot centers. That's what we've got on this building here. We don't do 4-foot spacing. We put a beam on the top there. We can eliminate every other post. If you have a lean-to and you need to have different post spacing there, whether it's on the end or on the sides for access, we can change that post spacing, 20, 22-foot, 24-foot space between the posts, just to make sure there's gonna be lots of room.
Sometimes people ask us, how tall of a ceiling can I go with? You might want a really high ceiling. Like if you're adding a mezzanine, you might want some extra height in there. Most often the higher ones will do around 20 feet. It is possible to go quite a bit higher than that 20 feet mark if you do have some either high equipment you want to be bringing in there. If you're wanting to add a second floor and you want some nice headroom on each floor. We've done up to 24, 26-foot ceilings. We often finish the inside of the buildings with metal cladding, very similar to this metal cladding that's on this wall, except it's in a bright white. And we'll get asked a lot, how am I going to mount toolboxes, shelving, that sort of thing to the wall. So there's a couple different ways to do it. You'll see where the screws are, and that's where the straps are behind the screws. So you can actually mount right to that and go over top. Another way you could do that is mount a sheet of plywood right over top and attach it same places to the straps. Or what some people do is either do 8 feet or even the full wall in plywood. So we can do plywood instead, and that makes it super simple for you to attach shelving and toolboxes to. It's just not going to be quite as bright as if you had that bright white metal cladding on the interior. This side of the site is actually about 5 feet lower than where it needs to be. Before we do any fill, what we're going to do is put our pilings in. We're going to put our footings in and our pilings, and then we'll do the fill afterwards, and that way it makes sure that we're on a solid base. If you did want to bring in fill first and then put the pilings in, you'd have to bring in a geotech to make sure that the fill that's brought in is compacted properly and can support the building. But by building on native ground, we don't have to go that route, and we'll be able to build this without bringing in a geotech. So you might be wondering, if a wood building can handle the snow loads, if you're in a heavy snow load area, like say in Revelstoke. The answer is yes. So you don't have to go to steel for heavy snow loads. The trusses are engineered and designed for your exact location. So they're going to handle whatever the snow loads are in your area.